I'm Andy Erwin, and this is the Storytellers. Coming up on this edition of the Storytellers, we're going to go on a little road trip on this one. We're going out to California, to Los Angeles, to the offices of Lionsgate, our distribution partner in film. They let us do an episode out there. There was a buddy of mine, household name. You know him from everything from Disney films, animated movies like Tangled, to superhero movies. He's been on Broadway. He sings, he dances. He literally can do it all. So I've given it away. It is Shazam, my buddy Zachary Levi. And with Zach, just a little disclaimer, it is never a tame ride. It's a lot of fun. You buckle in and you let the roller coaster take you wherever it goes. And we're going to go down a lot of turns and loops, and free fall drops. It's always an adventure. There's never a plan. You come in with a plan with Zach and you throw it out the window and you go wherever Zach wants to go. And it's tons of fun. But underneath all of that adventure, all of that craziness, is this heart of a guy that really, really has a desire to promote truth, to promote kindness, and to stand for the right thing. So without further ado, would you please welcome my good buddy, Zachary Levi. Dude, you've gotten deep lately, man.
No, bro, I've always been this deep, Andy.
No.
Andy, we've just never had these conversations. Yeah. We just never had these conversations. But I will say this. To your point, I have also been able to, recently, I've also been able to put words to things that I have always known to be true and have communicated in the past, but now in ways that I think are more succinct and distilled that other people understand. And I believe that's wisdom.
Well, we jumped.
Yeah, no, we just went through like 7 layers. We went through 7 portals.
I didn't even.
And we haven't even started the podcast.
I didn't even get a chance to put on my seatbelt.
I know.
It was just like we took off. So it's like,
well, welcome to the rocket ship.
It's great. Like there's no need for a beginning or an end with Zach Levi. It's the now. But the for you, so welcome to the show. We've been trying to do this for a little while, but you have your opinions. But you know exactly what you like, and you're like, it needs to be in person. And so I got Lionsgate to donate the whole downstairs to you. So we're to this.
That's so not fair. Well, thank you, Lionsgate.
Yes,
I appreciate that. But listen, am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're always right. That's the thing that's frustrating about you. And you know what else that's frustrating is you come in here with a great beard. And like for a dude that like sings and dances and plays superheroes and action movies and like has great hair, give me one thing that I can excel at. And you came in and it's a better beard. You have a better beard. It's a great beard.
Bro, well,
yeah.
First of all, thank you. I appreciate all those very kind words.
Yes.
Second, you have a fantastic beard.
Okay.
And I'm jealous of your beard. I'm not going to lie. And here's why.
Why?
You have actually a thicker beard.
Huh.
My beard, I think, based on what I've known you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thickness of whatever your beard is amount of follicles on face. I got a buddy named Justin Spraggins. He's Italian. When he, like, even when he's like, shaved, right? Like if you get a 5 o'clock shadow, it doesn't look like his skin turns a different color, right? Because it's got a million follicles. Like he could grow the thickest beard ever.
Yeah.
My beard is a pretty good beard.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good beard.
Yeah.
But I like the thickness of your beard, man.
I'm putting that on my wall.
Yeah.
I've got a thick beard.
Andy Erwin has a thicker beard than Zachary Levi.
Okay, podcast is over.
THICC thick. Andy Erwin's beard.
I will take that. Dude, we've known each other for about 15 years. Well, I knew you. I'm pretty sure you didn't know me. But yeah, I mean, we met.
Yeah, I don't know. We met each other. Probably about 15 years ago or something like that.
Became
it's
friends,
weird to think about.
Legit friends about 5 years ago, but like we've met.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was always really grateful for, listen, we all came up in what's considered, I guess, the kind of faith side of the entertainment industry, right?
Yeah.
And within that, there's lots of really interesting people and hearts and souls. I mean, truth is, there's lots of really interesting people outside of that as well, and hearts and souls and whatnot.
Yeah.
But within ours, it was really cool to know that you and your bro were out there attempting to make films for people that identified as being Christian,
right?
That weren't just I mean, because that's, and I know that's what you guys have been fighting for, and that's what's built you up here at Lionsgate, where we're doing this podcast. You know, you cared enough to be like, hey guys, to the best of our ability, can we also make sure it looks good?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Is good.
And then we started attracting talent that we feel like, that's been the game changer for us, is the people in front of the camera.
And listen, but that comes with experience.
Yeah.
You guys started as, camera operators shooting sporting events.
Yeah.
But you both loved film and have always loved film and all of those things. And so you allowed that passion to take you from there and then start in your grassroots movements to build what is Kingdom Story, and now the other offshoots of things that all wonderful things that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
That God is doing in all of that, But that requires a grit to say, like, well, first of all, eyes to see that there is a problem. I think anyone within the world of faith and entertainment recognize that there is a major problem, and you guys took it upon yourselves to want to go and try and be change in that. And you have been, and that's wonderful. And in that journey, in you guys, continuing to strive and have grit and determination and love, and continuing to love yourselves and work on yourselves, right? As we do, as we get older, much older.
Enough pain to take.
But the wisdom comes from. And in doing that, you got to a point where then, 5 years ago or whatever, right? Yeah. 2020. That old chestnut. 2020.
We gotta work.
Remember those days? Remember those days?
Weren't that crazy enough?
The 2020 of it all.
The 2020
not you guys.
Yeah.
What was amazing was that then in that time, you guys were going to go make American Underdog. I had 3 other films, or like a slate of things I was already doing. We were not going to make that movie together.
Yeah.
And then because of the pandemic is its official name, but I have so many other names for it.
Oh my gosh. You always lob at least one hand
I have
grenade.
I can't not.
You can't
I
not.
can't not.
Great. That'll be the new headline. Thank you, Deadline. You're welcome for that one.
So because all that went down,
yes,
all of a sudden, miraculously, you guys had to go boom, 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 boom on American Underdog. Didn't know what you were going to do. Hadn't even gone through your casting process. And then I was now available. And then all of a sudden, Lionsgate was like, hey, maybe we could wind that back up. And then
you look like Kurt Warner. It was like,
which, by the way, I had never even thought in my life until I ended up doing that movie.
Yeah.
And now so many people have been like, bro, you look so much like Kurt Warner. I was like, even still today, I'm like, do I? I mean, I guess. Enough. You know what? I look enough like Kurt Warner.
You look enough. Yeah. You look enough. They, when that happened, like we had back up our friendship, because you used to have like your house in Studio City back in the day was like Grand Central Station. Yeah. Like you never knew, who was going to be at the front door. It was always and so every once in a while I would go there and just be like, I want to see who's there tonight. And you had like a Bible study at your house, a lot of different things that was really cool.
Oh yeah.
And then you were doing Chuck, and and so I was a big fan of what you were doing. But then 5 years ago we reconnected because you just booked Shazam, and you did it, and I was like, oh my gosh, Zach's it's amazing to watch him take off. And we had just gone through I Can Only Imagine. And so we reconnected. But then in 2020, we have this FaceTime, and we just like, this is a crazy idea. And then you're like, what's this Kurt Warner movie? I keep hearing myself mention that. Like everybody's saying, what about Zach? And I was like, I wasn't going to pitch you, bro, because like you're busy, you're booked. Like I know your schedule. You're like, well, maybe right now I'm not because of COVID and all that. It's like, I'll read the script. And then you read it, and then you called me back the next day, and you're completely turnaround like, I'm interested. I think you texted me at midnight, let's do a football movie. And I was like, It was like there's some sort of.
Is that how that whole process went?
It
down?
was something like that.
Was Heyman representing you guys at that point?
Yeah, we had just signed with Heyman.
Oh, well, that's
Jason.
What are we even talking
Heyman!
about? So Jason Heyman has been pulling our strings for the last
we got
5 years. That's really what's been going on.
Nudging us together. That's what it was.
So thank you, Jason Heyman.
Thank you.
Our agent, our collective agent.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Now it makes sense.
So
I always thought it was me, and it's Jason Heyman.
No, I always thought it was you too. God's been orchestrating it all.
It was meant to be.
Right? It was all the way it was supposed to ultimately go down. And we, in the midst of, and by the way, and not only that, but I think another fun little piece of the puzzle and story that is pertinent to now is there's this whole other film called Unbreakable Boy.
Yes.
That is going to come out. By the way, maybe whenever this gets released, I don't know, 6 months or 8 months from whenever this is released. Yes. What happened was.
Whatever it was.
We ultimately all decided, let's go make American Underdog. Mm-hmm. But it's still the pandemic and everyone's still trying to figure out, well, how do we do this? Unions and studios. And everyone's like, you know. It's like green light, we're gonna go, and then
yeah, they're like, maybe we could push this to a year.
Yeah,
and I was like, guys, you don't understand. You shelve it, and it already has the deck stacked against it. That's probably not gonna happen. Secondly, this movie is built on Zach Levi, and if you I said this, you didn't say this, but I was just like, this is Zach Levi's. Like, this is a role that there's not a movie I want to do without him. And if you push this, I know Shazam 2 is gonna fire back up, and I'm gonna lose him. And I was like, guys, and we kind of powwowed, and we were like, we got to figure that out. In the meantime, you were free, and you're like, I want to work. Yeah. And then you're like, what else? And then that's where Unbreakable Boy kind of came to the forefront.
Well, right, but I mean, from my memory, what I was about to interject was, I knew that
I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, you're good, buddy. Come on, we're just hanging out and having a conversation. We just happen to have microphones and cameras.
I love it.
Doing it. That's why I like podcasts. Mm-hmm. Talk shows are tough because you got to be in there and got to like wow them in a 5-minute segment. It's like, I just want to talk.
Funny
I just want to be a human being. You know, like I'm not great with anecdotes, which is why talk shows are hard for me. I don't remember because they always do these pre-interviews with talk shows.
They do?
Oh, bro.
I've never been on the Tonight Show, so I don't know.
Let me tell you a thing or two. So on the Tonight Show, really all of them, every single talk show, there's a bunch of segments in the show, and every one of those segments has a producer, which means every guest, because every guest segment is a segment, and that segment has a producer, and they will interview you before you go on to the interview. So they do this pre-interview, and they get on the phone with you, and you talk for like 30 minutes, and it's a really wonderful conversation. And they're almost every one of them a lovely person.
That nobody ever hears.
That nobody ever hears because they are the producer for the segment. But that's the problem. You have a wonderful, easy time talking to them for 30 minutes, unpacking ideas or not even ideas, but like, they ask them like, how was your summer? And you get to like actually talk about what the summer is. And you find maybe a little anecdote or something in that. But then they go and they take these little things they extract from you and they go, okay, now you're going to go on the talk show. And now you're going to talk about these specific things, but you're going to talk about them as if you're being asked almost for the first time. So pretend like you're, so it's
not even fresh.
No. And it feels inauthentic and I hate it. I hate it with every ounce of my body.
I've been meaning to tell you, this is the pre-show podcast. We got to go back and redo all this.
Dude, I've struggled. I mean, honestly, like I've struggled with talk shows my entire career. You can ask any one of my publicists or any one of anybody. It's not, and by the way, and I like talk shows in that I think many of the hosts are very funny and talented. And I think there's a lot of joy that come from them. I just hate the inauthenticity.
It feels canned. It feels
it is because it is, But if you go back far enough, talk shows like Dick Cavett and all that stuff, like there was way more free form to that. And I wasn't there. I don't know. So maybe some of the guests knew or wanted to know the questions they were asked. I'd never want to know. I never ever. Even when I go and do, interviews on like live television, they're like, so the questions, I'm like, that. No, please don't show me that. I don't want to know.
Yeah. I want it to be fresh.
But not just fresh.
Authentic.
I want to be present.
Ooh, that's a good word.
I want to be present. And when you are present, you are authentic.
Huh.
Because it's happening right then.
But you're not trying. You're just
no, because I'm not.
You're not like say that thing
I'm not
again,
calculating anything.
Story. Yeah, you got 5 minutes, clock
As
ticking.
soon as you start thinking about what somebody else is thinking about you, you're calculating and calculating and calculating and calculating, which is what creates cool.
Yeah. Dude.
It's true. This is how people...
That's why I'm not cool. That's
cool,
great.
by the way, which is unfortunate because cool used to be... What cool used to be is like not calculation, but cool under pressure.
Yeah.
The Fonz was cool, not because he was calculating what other people were going to do, because he didn't care
he was comfortable in
what other people did.
Right.
That's what cool used to be.
Yeah.
Now cool is how insanely calculated are you? And it's a cancer, dude.
Man.
Cool is a cancer. It's been a cancer for a really long time, and it's really unfortunate because it makes people feel discluded and unincluded and disavowed and not a part of the tribe. You come out of elementary school where everybody's just a kid, and you go to middle school and everybody's like, oh, are you cool or are you not cool? What, are you cool or are you not cool? And it's only gotten, like, by the way, the version I'm doing right now is my impersonation of or impression of what I imagine kids and teenagers going, whatever they're doing now. But we were getting some version of that even then when we were in middle school, and it was horrible, particularly if you're like a nerdy, passionate.
Like you played a football player in American Underdog, but you were in like the marching band and stuff like that, right? Or
how dare you? Marching band?
Sorry.
Wow, this guy, bro. And I have all
musical
the
theater.
All the love for the marching band. But no, not marching band, musical theater.
Okay, musical theater.
But hold on. We went down a rabbit trail, as I am wont to do, because I am both verbose.
I like this holding on and just like going where you
hold on, I want to finish this though.
Yeah, go for it.
This thread, which was American Underdog happened. Well, American Underdog was happening, but Unbreakable Boy. I really want to land this plane because it's really important.
It is very important. And it's a great film.
It's a great film, which we'll get into in a little more detail in a second here. I love that I'm getting a chance to promote the movie before, like way before the movie. This is long lead.
Hey, this is great. It's my movie. So
but basically,
John Gunn directed it.
Amen. Exactly. Which is why I feel very confident or comfortable talking about it because it feels right. Anyway, point is, we are in the process of making American Underdog.
Right.
The pandemic was still kind of wonky and in full effect, and Lionsgate wasn't sure, and budget's a lot of money, and American Underdog was like, 20 million-ish or whatever, our budget ultimately ended up being, but it's a more significant investment than they felt comfortable without there being a little more time or track record of how do you make a movie in a pandemic?
Right.
And so you guys were like, hey man, we got to push the movie. And I went to you guys because I was hosed. I was in a moment in my life, not knowing, like none of us did, that this thing was going to happen. I had spent a whole bunch of my liquidity because I'm trying to build this. I am endeavoring in the beginnings of building a movie studio living community in Austin.
It's incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Wildwood.
And you guys are going to be a part of it. It's going to be amazing.
Awesome.
We're going to have an incredible community. Oh man, I can't wait. Anyway, but the point is, I spent all my liquidity about to try to launch that concept, not knowing the pandemic was coming. Then the pandemic came and I had no money and I had no income. I had no new jobs that were coming up.
Right.
And so fortunately I had some friends who have, helped, and we were able to, and I brought friends in who needed a place to come and out of the cities of LA and New York. And we pandemicked together and we did all these things and it was wonderful. It was super hard. And friends helped me through that time, but I was still, getting real tight on the money. And I was like, guys, you just told me we were greenlit and we were going to go make this movie in September. Yeah. And I was training already. I was literally training. I was in quarterback.
It was one of the hardest calls.
I know, Andy.
No. I'm not apologizing. I'm just saying.
I know you're not. Stop it. Let me tell the story for a second.
Okay, you can stop. Yeah, okay, I'll stop talking. It's not my show. Go for it. So
I knew you felt bad.
Yes.
I could hear it in your voice.
Right.
And to your credit, to yours and John's credit, what you did, because I went to you guys and I was like, this is breaking my heart, not just because I really want to make this movie with you, but the drop that I just felt, the hit on the ground that I just felt of like, oh my God, like don't get my hopes up like that, right? And you guys took that, and instead of just feeling bad about it or whatever, you went to Lionsgate, you guys conversed, and what Lionsgate, so to all of your credit, what you guys all came back with was, hey, Zach, because the lift for Underdog is much larger a risk than Lionsgate is willing to really go with right now, given the state of the world. We can't do that. But Lionsgate has said, here's like a handful of movies that we control, that they like, and that if you choose any one of these, they'll green light. It's a smaller lift, so they can take the risk, and we can go put you and the crew and everybody we were concerned about, because we were talking about all them too, right?
Yep.
All these people that were ramping up.
Yep.
And we all needed a job.
We all did.
And it was like, oh my God, like no, we can't wait another year. We can't wait for this thing to happen. And so it was a collective, Lionsgate, Kingdom Story, myself, everyone that was like, hey, no, let's not let this moment move, because we need this. We all need this. Our industry needed it.
Yep.
And we did it. And God did it.
Yep.
And we got to be the lucky sons of guns that all got to collectively be a part of what that moment was. And so what was really fun about that was then we all looked at this list of projects, and or you guys offered me like, I don't know, half a dozen. Look at these ones.
Like, what one do you like?
And I looked at all half a dozen, and all of them I think had value to them. But the one that jumped out to me was Unbreakable Boy, which for the listeners and viewers at home is a wonderful movie written and directed by John Gunn,
who did Ordinary Angels
who did Ordinary Angels, and longtime collaborator with you and your brother.
Yep.
You know, heart of our heart and flesh of our flesh, kind of a brother.
Yep.
John is just the bee's knees and so talented, and we were able to gather this wonderful cast of actors and crew, and Lionsgate said, let's go make this little movie that could. And it's about a little boy. Just a quick, kind of backstory on it. A father wrote it. The father in the story, it's a true story about this young couple. They get pregnant, like on their fourth date, and they're like, "What do we do?" And they're like, "Well, you know what? We're gonna do the right thing. We're gonna see this through. We're gonna bring this life into the world. We don't need to like say we're gonna get married right away. We're gonna try and just keep walking toward the light, basically, right?" We're going to keep walking toward the light. We're going to try and figure this out. And they had their first son, and he was wonderful. But then immediately was crying a lot. And they didn't realize why until much later, because he has osteogenesis imperfecta, which is brittle bones disease.
Right.
And they're like, whoa, this is crazy. But also the mother,
she had Megan
Fahey plays exactly Megan. And Drew Powell, and our wonderful cast all the way around. Peter Facinelli and Amy
Acker.
Yeah, Amy Acker. Anyway, so then a few years go by, and then they find out he has autism. And the story is essentially, like the life's journey of this couple, and then their oldest and second son, who comes into the picture, who did not have brittle bones or autism.
Yeah.
And is really kind of this amazing, I think, I mean, I've met him, and they're all wonderful people, but having met the youngest son, he is really an interesting kind of the observer of it all. He is the true observer of and taker in of all of that information. And that's a gnarly thing to carry. It's the youngest of that family. But anyway, we made this delightful movie, and it never would have happened. It wouldn't have even gotten brought into the world.
It wouldn't have
had it not all gone down in that way. I mean, maybe you guys could have made it later on down the road or whatever, but I'm just saying the fact that we were able to, for all those things to conspire, for God to be like, this is going to be fun. I'm going to do, I'm going to let these things go down, and I'm going to redeem it all and go, there you go. And here's this little gem of a movie in The Unbreakable Boy with just wonderful story, wonderful message, wonderful performances, if I might be so bold, but really by our youngest actor who played Austin. Incredible. He's incredible. He's, I mean, literally born for the role.
Yeah.
But the story is so full of like like it's really real. It's really real. And my character had a alcohol.
The boy really redeems the father. I mean, in the whole process.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a part of it. I think God is using each element to redeem each element, you know, in the broad, in the holistic sense of it all. But absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just wanted to land that plane. Go see Unbreakable Boy in theaters.
Really soon. The cool thing that happened too, and this is where you were a gift, because it was a massive undertaking to do all of this at once, because it's like in the movie Interstellar, where the space station is spinning and Matthew McConaughey is talking to Anne Hathaway. She's like, that's impossible. He's like, no, it's necessary. He starts the spin. And he has to sync up with the space station. It's like one of those moments like, no, it's not impossible. It's necessary. We're going to figure it out. Yeah. So to have, you were training for American Underdog that we ended up shooting like right after it. Yeah. We're in full.
Yeah, because Unbreakable Boy.
Full preparation for that. Mm-hmm. You're shooting Unbreakable Boy, and like in between scenes, you're going with a passing coach to work on your form for to play an NFL football player. Yep. We're going back and forth. We shoot all that out. We finish Unbreakable Boy. It's a fantastic film. Yeah. And then we go right into American Underdog that we had to shoot in 30 days instead of 45 days in order to get Lionsgate not to push it a year. Yeah. And it was like, both films are really good. They're really good, and I think
I'm really proud of both these movies, man. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that Unbreakable Boy is finally going to get a release, because it's been a journey, y'all. Like the movie was supposed to come. I mean, the trailer for Unbreakable Boy was on American Underdog. Yeah, like people were assuming, because we were telling them for at least a brief moment, if you saw American Underdog in the theaters, you would have seen a trailer for Unbreakable Boy. And it was going to come out that February or something like that. So I'm just so grateful that God is so good, and it's all come to this moment. And that I really do think people are going to be very, very blessed by it. And I'm so grateful that American Underdog, in the, cauldron that we were making, the pressure cooker of the time and the money and the COVID,
every bit of that showed up
the
on the
training and everything else, for us to be able to accomplish what we did, and for that movie to continue to this day, bro. Like, I'm sure I'm sure you and your brother get people telling you all the time that to this day, like, wow, I love that movie. Wow, I love that movie. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Well, I appreciate that, dude. And I think the thing that it's one of my favorite performances of yours. There's something about, like, I think everything that you mentioned on that list of the struggle got poured onto the screen, because we all had to unite together. Like it wore us all down. And this dude that's fighting for his family and is broken down to his core and has to find his purpose and his meaning and what he's fighting for, and then find his second chance. Like, it showed up on the screen, and I think you poured it into it.
Well, that was all of us collaborating together, fighting with each other, trying to find those moments and be real. Yep. And and that's hard. The collaborative creative process can be quite difficult sometimes. Yeah. I think that we are always called to try and make it as least difficult as possible. Sure. But I also believe, as you know, this is why I fight for what I fight for, because it's like, which is also not to say that I'm always in the right in whatever the thing is. But it's always being wanting to make it excellent, and never ever 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 compromising, unless the compromise is actually
the better idea,
better in the holistic sense, right? No, like you should if you hardline so hard that you miss the right compromises, you destroy it.
And you never fought to be right, but you fought really hard to not settle for something that wasn't right.
Amen.
I've never had a actor push me as hard as you did. Like, I felt like you really made me earn, what we found on the screen. Like, you never let me or John settle. And there was a decent amount of friction with respect as we dialed it in. So it's like, it's one thing to be friends for years. It's another thing to take on a big movie like that. And I think you being number one on the call sheet, and it's on your shoulders, and you're wanting to make sure that it's good, and we're going to make something that is meaningful. And you pushed me. And I always loved that about you.
Well, Thank you. I appreciate that. To the extent that any of that pushing came with moments of my own unchecked ego and unhealed trauma spilling onto you, I apologize.
You're sweet about that.
I apologize.
Like,
and I know, by the way, we've already done that.
That goes back both ways.
Oh, amen. Amen. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
It's inferred. I know it in your soul. I feel it in your soul. We've never had those exact words exchanged, but I know that that's your heart. I know that we've continued to try to journey and be better men, better brothers, better husbands and fathers. And, and hopefully one day I'll be able to do the same thing. And all of the things that we're endeavoring to be our best us. And being, living in a state of, at least I am daily trying to always remain in a state of humility, gratitude, and trust. I think those three things, humility, gratitude, and trust, HGT.
That works.
Those things as a bundle of intention they've helped me stay on the tightest frequency to God.
I love that.
Like almost, like on a radio dial, when you're trying to find the radio station, when you're right on it because it's plumb. It's like there's no crackle. It's like pure source. And on either side of that,
there's friction.
You still hear the music.
Yep.
You still hear it. We can be in flow-ish with, maybe this is where the ego, the flesh and the spirit, again, maybe this is where that is. It's like when it's almost like in the Bible when it's like, are you hot? Are you cold? Are you standing on this side or that side? It's almost like we're listening to God, but still got the crackle, right? That kind of a thing. But that little crackle, that the humility, gratitude, and trust help you to kind of get rid of those things that our ego would normally want to run to. If you're humble to this, grateful to this, and trusting this, the great almighty I am, then you can flow with the great almighty I am. Yeah. At least that's what I feel deeply in me.
Well, on your journey with that, I love that when you came into Underdog, what you had gone through prior to it, before Shazam, and you wrote about it in your book, Radical Love, and told your story. And there was just something really powerful about what you went through that led to Shazam. Tell me a little bit about, just for those that haven't read the book, that moment in your life where you really kind of rediscovered the why of all of this and kind of God giving you your heart back.
Happy to unpack. Whatever
you. What was it then?
So I started in the industry in 1999, basically. Okay. So 2017. How many years is that? I don't know.
It's like 18 years.
18 years. So 18 years. Yeah. I'm starting and then I keep going back to the beginning. That's funny. What is it from The Princess Bride? Back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning. At 37, I had a mental breakdown.
Right.
Okay. Didn't want to live. Didn't know why. That was precipitated by many, many, many years of trauma in my life, starting as a child in my family, whatever family traumas, right? You get them, literally physical traumas in your life. You fall down, skin your knee, hit your head, whatever those things are, scoldings from your parents, whatever, all that's all psychological traumas, all that through your family. And then it's society and it's environment and it's school and being bullied at school for years and years and years and all of those things and what beating the crap out of your ego, which is your wonderful identity, body of armor, and it's getting all crinked up while you're going through life. It's protecting you psychologically, and then getting into an industry at 18 years old that is, let me tell you guys, this is for one's psychology. This is the safest, most healthiest place you could ever want to work. I mean, the authenticity that just streams through. The entertainment industry.
Totally. Totally.
You know what I mean? My mental illness, what started as little cavities, you get traumatized by your mom or your dad or your thing, you get these little cavities that build up in your mouth. You don't even know that they're there. You don't know that they're
festering.
And so then by the time I got to 37 And I had now, by the way, because Wildwood, this thing that moved me out to Texas, this idea that when I first moved to Hollywood, and it was so broken. I mean, this place is so broken. I'm supposed to be an actor, God, but I don't want to be an actor. Why would I want to go and work in this business? I love people. I want to make great work. I want to make great, excellent things. And I want to love people and take care of people. And this business does neither of those things. Wow. I assumed correctly that it would be an inhumane environment.
Right.
I assumed incorrectly that was the price that we paid for excellence.
Huh.
And once I found out that nobody really, I mean, when I say nobody, obviously that's not true, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
This is not an industry that necessarily, I think, values excellence. They're commoditizing art and artists. I mean, that's how it has operated. And this is part of the reason why it's starting to dissolve rapidly. And that's leading us into AI and where that's going to take us. I'm going to put a pin in the AI. I'm not going to get to there yet.
That'd be coming back
because I got to get back to the mental health of it all. But anyway, so I was like, what is this? And I was like, God, I can't do this. If I do this thing that I feel like you're telling me to do, if I do this, I'm complicit in this.
Right.
I don't want to be complicit in a broken system that doesn't value human beings. And I really genuinely felt God telling me, not in the audible voice, but like in your soul.
To move to Texas?
Well.
You okay? Okay.
Not yet. I'm 19 at this point.
Oh, this is before. Okay, got it.
And
we're back to the beginning. My bad.
Yeah, back to the beginning.
Yeah, back to the beginning.
And God was like, yes, it's broken. It's super broken. But I'm going to go fix that. I'm going to use you to go be a leader in making a better version of that one day. But you got to use this broken system in order to build enough of a career and relationships.
Yeah.
And, goodwill and whatever capital you can grab.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the right time, that boat is going to start sailing or sinking away, and you'll have made the other boat, and that boat will be built and curated for humans to be a better place to live and work and play. That was the general idea of what God told me 19 years ago. And that was basically building a new United Artists, but like not just the place to work, like all the studios, but like build the neighborhoods into it, into the backlots, as we've talked about, as I've told you, like, things of that nature, as well as all the fun and the health and the wellness and education and all the things that you can give to everybody that's working there, making a better world. That was what God was downloading with me.
That's kind of what Walt Disney was wanting to do with Epcot.
100%, bro. Oh my God, he loved me some Walt Disney.
Yeah, it's like, anyway, and he passed away before he could accomplish it.
I know, and he didn't write enough down, and his brother didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
so he made a weird blowy thing with spikes on it, and just a bigger Disneyland. That's what happened.
I've always tried to figure out Epcot that I read what it was supposed to be.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah, it was that. It's exactly what you're talking about. That's what Walt wanted. Which Walt seemed like he was wired a little bit like you,
bro. I am honored to even be connected to him like that. Which, by the way, I'm just making it very clear. I have no idea all of the decisions or things he said or did or whatever in his life. I'm not into all that stuff. I'm talking about
the what he wanted to
create.
Who
God made that man, whatever his refraction of light as a soul was. That guy cared about people and joy and bringing joy and happiness and love and community, and he cared about excellence. He cared about excellence in all of our science and education and entertainment. He cared about it, and he lived his life about it. You know. So anyway, that's who I esteem to be on every level. Absolutely. And so anyway, rabbit trail.
Back to the beginning.
So back to the beginning. So all this stuff started getting downloaded to me when I'm 19.
Right.
Then 18 years later, after lots more downloading and journeying and praying and like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I knew early on I couldn't build it in California, which bummed me out because I'm a Cali kid and I'm a Cali at heart, but it is so broken and has been for a long time. And I love Cali and I love most Californians even still. No, I love all people. I love all Californians. I have love for all Californians and I have love for all peoples. But as a system, systematically, it's a shame because the legislatively and the taxes and everything, it's a joke. It's a joke, which is why people are fleeing. And so I was like, I couldn't do it in California. And so eventually I landed on, I had to go to Austin. And so then, I moved to Austin, but I had this massive breakdown because all the trauma that I was also running from my mom, very messed up relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
That led to a very unfortunate marriage with a woman who I think is a wonderful human being. And we were just not in the right place in our lives. You know, I don't think either of us really understood what love really was. I certainly didn't. I didn't understand her enough. I didn't understand myself enough. But there was all these really major things that happened. And I was just like, because your ego is really good. It's like this body of armor, but that also like has a little like of its own kind of like momentum. It's like, yeah, we can keep going. I don't want to get shed off of you because the ego's scared to get off of you. You know, it's like it's part of this organism now. You're marching and you're marching. And so then running from all of that and all the things that were falling apart in my life, I moved to Austin to go build this big dream that I had in my heart for 18 years and really my whole life.
Dude, that is a cocktail.
Oh, bro.
Right
and
there.
So many other things too.
Yeah.
I won't go into. But point is, I completely lost my mind. It was bad. I did not want to live. I couldn't get out of bed. Later on, I found out there was, again, more complications and dopamine, like total dopamine deficiency in my body. And you got to get your body, do blood work, guys. Get your hormones checked.
There is a mental,
important.
Emotional, spiritual, and physical side of things.
Yes.
It's all of it.
So anyway, all those things, trying to change the world and not understanding that I didn't love myself. Because once I got all the way down to that darkness, I didn't want to live. My younger sister, Shekinah, God bless her, found a place called Privé Suisse. Which is an organization that operates on the East Coast, on the West Coast, like in the Northeast in Connecticut and kind of in the Malibu area, I think. And I spent 3 weeks getting super deep, super intensive, life-changing, life-saving therapy.
Dude, that's awesome.
The biggest gift I got out of that, or one of the biggest gifts I got out of that was recognizing that I did not love myself.
Wow.
I didn't even understand what that was. I really didn't. But also, God redeemed all of that. Because God brought me through that very difficult time and where I didn't want to live. And then I came to the other side of that time. And all of a sudden, God says, hey, would you like to write this book?
Wow.
And you're like, oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you, God. Thank you. You brought me through all of that. So that I could be somebody who survived the fire to grab water to bring back to people that are still in the flames.
That's amazing.
And that's how God works. That's the redemptive quality of all of the things, all that trauma, all of the things that have been beating me up throughout my entire life. For that to ultimately culminate in me, it could have ended my life. But instead, God says, no, you're going to stay alive. And more than that, you're going to help other people get to stay alive.
Man.
You're going to help other people get to stay alive.
Well, coming out of that season, all of a sudden, like as you kind of began to find yourself and people impacted that journey and you began to love yourself, then all of a sudden Shazam comes into the picture.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally like on the heels of it, right?
I mean, yeah. The literal heels. I mean, I was still in therapy when I auditioned for 2 months prior to all that, I was given an opportunity to audition for the role of Shazam, and I passed on it because I knew that they had already hired The Rock to play Black Adam, and I was like, they're supposed to be doppelgangers.
Yeah.
They're not going to hire this guy.
I always thought
so I was like,
kind of similar.
I was like, thanks, but no thanks. Not realizing that I didn't love myself and I wasn't believing in myself.
Wow.
I wasn't actually believing that, I could do that.
Huh.
With the right working out enough, which I did.
No,
I mean, I'm a buck 80 right now. I was 220
when I saw the first trailer for it, I was like, holy crap.
Bro, well,
I know.
Yeah, the suit was crazy packed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
But still, man, you filled it out.
Well, listen, had I known they were going to do all of that, it would have been a little bit like, really? But also, you still want to be as strong and big as you can inside of that thing because you want to move as best you can. You want to be as strong as you can while you're playing that role. So it was all worth it, right? I think the shoulders were outrageous. The shoulder padding was outrageous in the first movie. It got a lot better in the second one.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it was, I was a much different person even then, you know? And I was like, I'm not going to get this movie. This is not going to happen. I passed on it. And then literally my life fell apart. And then I'm 2.5 weeks into my therapy. I'm supposed to be there basically for 3 weeks. And I told my team, please, I'm going to be off grid for 3 weeks. Please do not bring anything to me.
Right.
Like, I'm not in a good place. Copy that.
Yeah.
In true Hollywood fashion, 2.5 weeks later.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bug you, but there's this other role in Shazam. It's for a supporting character. A small little
supporting character.
Supporting character. One little page aside. Yeah, we don't know how you're feeling. If you're not feeling it, no worries. Get it out of here. We're so sorry. But maybe take a look at it. If you want, bye. And I had just, after 2.5 weeks of therapy, I just had a breakthrough that day, that morning, basically.
Huh.
And I had just enough light come back into me that I looked at this email and I was like, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe I have even enough self-worth to believe that this is even, but then also there's a part of me that was like, is this the devil?
Yeah. Like it's the forbidden fruit. Like, it tastes good.
Come back. It really was, right? Yeah. And that followed me through the whole process of the Shazam casting because, so anyway, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I said, when do they need this by? They go end of week, Friday. Cool. So by the end of the week, I was feeling even better about myself. So I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe I could do this and not want to die if I don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of a thing. It's like, do I even need to be doing any of this stuff? I'm partly here because of the way this industry made me feel about myself. Or how I allowed it to make me feel about myself. Sure,
absolutely.
You know, or both, whatever. But, and so I was like, okay, cool. And I took my phone and I propped it up with some books on the dresser. I did one take of one scene, like a monologue basically, and I sent it in on Friday afternoon, Friday early evening. A couple hours later, my phone's blowing up, and my agent's like, "Yo, dude, so they not only do they like you for this role, but they think that you could be their Shazam. They haven't cast it yet."
Wow.
I'm like, what?
Wow. I did not. How did I not?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. And so I was like, I mean, that was all very confusing. And I was like, well, okay, I don't know what to, because they're like, so can you get back to LA to camera test? I go, no. I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. I had a whole nother week that was like my, homeworks and all the things that I would last sessions with all of my psychiatrists and therapists and all these people I've been seeing, so many different modalities.
Yeah.
I had a whole last week of just the follow-ups and like, see you laters.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can't leave here right now. I can't go do that right now. I need to value my life right now. And they're like, okay, well, we totally understand that. So let's get back to you. And then they came back to me and they said, they'll Zoom camera test you. Well, actually at the time it was Skype.
Yes,
they're going to Skype test you. Huh. And so I talked to David F. Sandberg over the weekend. I explained, hey, I'm at a place. I'm trying to heal my soul. I can't be back there. But I also have no one to read these sides with for Shazam. It's like the first time I auditioned, it was just me doing a monologue. The second time, it was Shazam doing a scene with a person. Mm-hmm. I'm like, who am I supposed to read these with? My psychiatrist? How am I going to audition for this movie?
Zach, how did that line make you feel?
Yeah. Oh my God. Actually, that is a movie. That's a whole movie in and of itself. And they're like, we totally understand. And so anyway, so they offered to basically shoot their side of these auditions. I read through my iPad with them on their iPad. Yeah. And we shot the audition that way through the iPads. And then they took that to Warner Brothers on Monday. And we did that on Monday. And then a few hours after we did that, my phone starts blowing up again. And my agent's like, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. They really like you for Shazam. It's basically between you and one other guy. If you don't come into, they need a camera test, like a proper camera test. They won't cast you without a proper in-person camera test. If you don't come in, it's going to go to the other guy. If you do come in, there's a good chance this could be your role. And I was so perplexed, bro. I was right there at the highest level of, is this God or is this not God? What is happening? Is this the apple?
You don't want to get it wrong.
Dude, my life was depending on it. I was like, I'm partly here because of this trauma. Dude, even to this day, the amount of traumas that I've had on sets of you going in and you're hoping that you can just be your most authentic self and be kind to everybody and work hard and shoot for excellence, and all these other egos get in the way and all these things that just like make it hard for everybody and they traumatize you, you know? And I almost literally ended my life and I didn't, and I'm here and I'm like, is this the devil?
Yeah.
You know? Or, the devil, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
The devil.
I don't know. Is this the darkness?
Yeah.
Is this the lie?
Right.
Is this the falseness that's trying to be like, don't.
It's the counterfeit.
Don't do it. Is it the counterfeit? And I went downstairs, bro. The woman, Kate, who is one of the most wonderful women in the world, who was there at that place and who basically prayed me back to life, loved me back to life, was literally, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being hyperbolic. Kate is a earthly manifestation of a cherubim, of a full on, like the heart of, the soul of, she just like, she feels empathy on a level that is so deep and never condescending.
Wow.
Never, you know what I mean? Like sometimes
totally
people feel it in this way, but it's almost like I can't sense if you're like what that is, and it's so authentic, and she doesn't even hold it. Like she feels it for you, but also it doesn't crush her in it, you know? Like she has the capacity to feel. I could tell that she could feel me in the moment when I was literally like crying out to God, yelling, screaming out to God. And she prayed over me, and she loved on me, and she prayed over me like a mom that my mom couldn't be for me, because my mom was so exactly traumatized. My mom herself was so traumatized, and I know that she loved me. She was so messed up. By the way, she did love on me and pray over me a lot in my life, and also never got to the root of her cavities in her mind, and her cavities turned into really, really, really bad mental illness fueled by lots of alcohol, and that ultimately ended her life, at 65 years old, which was such a sad, It's sad because my mom had so much promise. It's so much promise. A Fortune 500 CEO, president of a small country, like she had that kind of energy. But it just goes to show you, this is why mental health is so important, because y'all were all born with power. We're all born with gifts. We're all born with abilities and understandings that we're supposed to bring into the world. With God being the guide of them, being the hand on the instrument that we are. But when we're not healed in our mental health, our ego is the hand that's guiding it. And all of our abilities and all of our powers that we have, and we all do have myriad, and it's wonderful. It's great. Incredible what our Creator creates. And we're all part of that. And that is wondrous. Psalm 139. Oh, guys, get into it. And it's wondrous. And my mom, could have had all of that, And because she wasn't healed, because she wasn't loved fully enough and couldn't love herself, then never learned how to love herself. But because she couldn't, God then understood that and
redeemed it.
Took pity on me and redeemed it in giving me women in my life, moms like Kate and Nancy and Christine and all of this laundry list of women who have stepped up into my life. And it's incredible because it's all just more evidence of our Creator. And our Creator's love.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. And I've loved that about your story, because I just feel like it speaks to the fact that God doesn't waste the pain. If you let him use it, it gives you something so beautiful in return.
Man, it's incredible. It's incredible. It is awesome. we have lost our understanding of so many words, our to really understand the power of words, which by the way, lest we forget, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word. I believe this with everything in me. What you speak, you are helping to manifest literally into existence by speaking it. Anyway.
Yeah, I love our rabbit trails. But back to Kate. She prays for you. You're deciding what to do about the Shazam moment.
Yeah.
And what was the result?
You're going to have so much fun editing this. How do we get a cohesive?
I'm trying to stay present. I'm trying to stay present, but I'm like, okay, where do we start that? Come back.
Listen,
it's like Carol, and there's all these strings everywhere.
Yeah, it's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, guys.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
just go with it.
Go with
it. Kate.
Yeah. So
bro, I go back downstairs. I go downstairs, and she happens to be. She was a companion. These companions were wonderful women. They were middle-aged mothers, wives, or both that were kind of semi-retired, but loved still having a purpose and vocation in their life, and had deep empathy, and could basically be moms for a lot of the people that would go and get treatment up in Connecticut. And they would kind of rotate through shifts. And Kate ended up being my stalwart, the one that I wanted and got the most. God was so good. But she still rotated through, and she happened to be there that night on Monday night. And I go downstairs, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't know if this is God or not. Is it God or not? And so I want to unpack this with you. And she's like, well, let's pray. And so we prayed. We prayed that God would just give us some clarity, some wisdom about are you in this? Mm-hmm. And it was a quick prayer, and we both kind of looked up at each other. And we go, yeah. And the reason why was because I didn't feel anything.
Wow.
Other than peace.
Wow.
I felt peace. It wasn't this it wasn't my emotions or my ego or anything pulling at me. Or
neediness that I need
anything. It wasn't any of that validation or what could it be or the anxiety of it or nothing. It was just yeah. And by the way, ever since then, I have been a firm believer. I should have believed it always, but because it's true that when you're trying to find God, just go find where the peace is, And when you're praying on something, try to find where that peace is. If you don't feel a peace about something, and this is scripturally backed, if you don't feel a peace about something, there's a reason why. And it doesn't necessarily even mean that's a bad thing or whatever it is. That's a check in your spirit, right? That's what unease in that. That's not having peace in your spirit. And so, go give it more attention or do what you need to do in order to understand why you have a check in your spirit about it. But I didn't in that moment with Kate. And so ultimately I went to the place that I was staying at, and I was like, hey, listen, here's the situation. I have this opportunity of a lifetime. I feel like I'm good. I feel like I'm ready to go, but I need you to go and ask all of my therapists and everybody else. I need all of them to say, green light, Zach's good. We believe he's good enough to go. And then she, the proprietor of the place, she went and talked to everybody. Everybody gave me a green light. I was really grateful for that. Grateful to have done the work I needed to do to get to that place in my life, which, by the way, was still so far from where I am right now. It's not just quick.
It's a journey.
No, man, life is a journey. Do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. Just because you stumble, just because it hurts, it is not the end. It is not the end. And failure is not the end. Failure should only be looked at as something that can help us to adjust and to learn from. And unfortunately, we live in this cancered culture of cool, where if you do anything that is not a win, you're cringe. All that needs to go away.
It's true.
It all needs to go away. It needs to go away yesterday.
Yeah, it's true.
And let people fail and let people grow. And that's only done in love. That's only done in looking around us at every single human being. And I mean every single human being. And actually loving them, not pretending to love. Jesus says, you can love those who love you. That's not love. That's easy. Are you loving your enemy? Are you praying for your persecutor? How many people on Twitter are loving the person they're talking to or praying for those people that they're talking to? And that's the effect that we're supposed to bring into the world. And I know a lot of people, good people, who are engaged in those fights, which is not to say I haven't gotten into some back and forths on the Twitter.
You're good at it.
I am not saying I have not stepped into it.
I've seen them
on X. I've done it. I've done it. I might not. But my point is, even in that, I am still trying to not hate the person that I am.
It's okay to disagree.
Talking to, even though people want to level lots of hate at me. But we cannot, guys. We cannot hate our way to a better world. We can only love our way there. That's it. There is no other way. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, once we just hate enough and kill those people, then the world on the other side is going to be a good world? No, it won't. Yeah. You will have been the people that did the killing, and then that will be on you. And that will create trauma in your lives that you will hand on to your progeny. What are we doing?
So on that, just to wrap it up, I had this whole game to play with the Nerd Machine Jukebox. We were going to go through nerd movies and all that type of stuff, but I think it would trivialize what we've all talked about. I love your heart because you don't say anything that you don't believe. Like it has to be absolutely
that can go on my gravestone.
Yes, and it's authentic because you fight so hard for things that you fully believe, and if you don't believe it, you don't say it. And I think it's what you say on the screen, but it's also what you say in real life, and I think much more what you say in real life. And so, from me, I deeply love you as a friend. And I admire you, and you're a storyteller that I want to continue to collaborate for as long as we both can stand. So thanks for being on the show, and thanks for hanging out, man.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being patient so we could do it face-to-face, because it's worth it.
And because you were right.
Community.
You were
community.
Right.
Look at this. Community creating a thing.
I love it.
It's important.
You're right.
Mwah. Bye, everybody.
So that's our show. I want to thank Zach for being on an entertaining ride. I told you, I give you a little warning. That was going to be a lot of fun. Some of you might have your hair blown back, wind stretch marks across your face. It's a wild ride. But Zach is tons of fun. He's an entertainer at heart. But underneath that, he just has a desire to put good into the world. So I want to thank Zach Levi for being on the Storytellers. And I think the thing about Zach's story that really communicates to me is that in every artist's journey, every storyteller's journey, there's this dark night of the soul. There's this moment when you think it's all over and you've lost it. And the moment's passed you by and you're ready to give up. And I'm telling you that on the other side of that dark night of the soul, and Zach had the courage to be able to ask for help in that. I think there's a lot of courage with mental health about when you feel like you need help, reach out for help. Don't be too proud. And there's not something that makes you weaker than the rest of us. We all need help. I've had to have help from time to time myself. And the idea of mental health and pushing through that moment to really find himself and all that, to really root it in this relationship of love with God that he found is amazing. And after that dark night of the soul is what gave him this whole new season of life where he had these stories to tell, but all of a sudden had a purpose behind it of what he wanted to say to the world. And I think that there's something really powerful and special to that. So just as you guys find your own stories, you might find yourself in a dark night of the soul. And if that means that you're a place of desperation and it all looks bleak, don't be afraid to ask for help. All of us, especially as creatives, I think have a propensity to gear towards that melancholy kind of point of view. And I know when I've gone through those moments myself, that it's so much better to not go through it alone. So tell somebody, talk to somebody. And then, in that pain, I believe in a God that doesn't waste the pain. And he fuels that into giving you something to say. And I think the thing that Zach said is that all of a sudden he realized all that he had gone through was to give that away to somebody else. And I think you may find yourself in that same situation. So keep being vulnerable, being real, asking for help, and then spread the good around the world through the stories you tell. So that's our show today. Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Storyteller. We'll see you next week.
The Storytellers is a Kingdom Story Company production. It is produced by Nick Carey, with production assistance from Ben and Justin Bailey, and creative assistance from Jaron Weatherly and Beach Approach. Our executive producers are Kevin Downs and Brandon Gregory. Social media for the show is run by the Troops and Allies team, and our music is Twisted Rooster by Tommy Prophet. Special thanks to our entire team at Kingdom Story Company. To make sure that you never miss out on any of our exciting guests, subscribe to the Storytellers for free on YouTube at Kingdom Story Company or wherever you listen to podcasts. For exclusive first looks at our upcoming films, behind-the-scenes content, and invitations to advanced screenings, join the conversation as a Kingdom Insider at KingdomStoryCompany.com and follow us at Kingdom Story Company across all platforms. As always, thanks for joining Andrew Erwin and his friends on The Storytellers.